David, we're on.
Oh.
Welcome to our February 22nd, 2012 special called work session. Work sessions are a more informal setting to update the council on business items. No vote will be taken on work session items. Tonight, there's one item on the agenda. Public comment is allowed that is germane to an agenda item. If you wish to speak, you are required to fill out a public comment card and turn it in to our city clerk staff. Public comment will be allowed for a total of 10 minutes per agenda item and no more than 2 minutes per person. Public comment will be heard at the beginning of each item. Once the item is called, no other public cards will be accepted. And right now, we probably don't have any general public comment. I know we've got some gentlemen here. I told them if there's any questions of them or whatever, we can certainly allow you guys to come up and you can just fill out a card. So, will the city clerk please sound the first item?
The first item is discussion on 12450, 12500 Arnold Mill Road, and owner's purchase of sewer taps from Mountain Park. This is being presented by Mr. Ken Gerard.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the opportunity this evening. First of all, I want to place in front of you and acknowledge in the record that everyone has a copy of this map that the city manager has worked hard on, and my staff has provided some input on. But this is a map that we are tendering in front of you. We tried to keep it as simple as possible for tonight's presentation, and it shows a couple of things. The most important thing that it shows in the pink is it shows the sewer boundary with respect to Milton, but it shows some other things in addition to that, the pink being areas that are sewered, the green, the light green being Milton that is unsewered, and then you see some red parcels on there. I'm sure everybody can spot those very easily. There should be 8 of them, 8 discrete parcels counted from left to right. Let me tell you what those are.
Excuse me, can I clarify? I don't think the pink is the Alpharetta. The dashed line is the sewer areas, correct?
Yeah, I changed this map up on Ken, so let me tell you.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, I kind of made it up. I thought even one step easier. So anything that's pink is not Milton. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's one thing that's on this map. Everything that is a shade of green is Milton, whether it's in one basin or the other. And the lines that you see on this map, other than the ones that you recognize as kind of state highways or other major roads in the area we're not even talking about tonight, those green lines that you see on the map do not represent roads, those represent pipes. So if you're seeing roads not connect where you think they need to connect, what's tried to be depicted here is infrastructure underground.
Okay. All right.
Okay, sorry, Kim.
No, go. Anyway, let's move on to the red parcels particularly. The red parcels are the parcels that were the subject of much debate in the summer of 2010. Hope everybody recalls that. And you may recall, and I have to necessarily bring this into the equation, is that throughout the process of discussing sewer, even going back 2 years ago, we have also been involved in the service delivery strategy negotiations between Milton and also Fulton County. And this has necessarily played a part in those negotiations because the provision of sewer is a service that is part of the strategy. So in 2010, I came to you with a request by the presiding mediator, which is Judge Norman Fletcher, who provided you a map. And it was the boundary of the sewer boundary between Milton and Fulton. And the judge asked that we take a look at the map, and he had circled some parcels, yes and no, yes and no, yes meaning to sewer them, no meaning not. And he had asked for an up or down vote as to whether Milton would allow Fulton County to provide sewer service within those parcels that were identified as yes, as a means of sort of basically resolving the dispute with Fulton County about what is or was not going to be sewered property within Milton. The city council did in fact take up that map in May and ultimately concluded, based upon just the limited number of parcels and the limited number of encroachment of sewer into Milton, to simply approve all of them as sewered parcels and put this issue to bed once and for all. All right, and that's what occurred, and Fulton County, at or about the same time, approved the same map. All right, so that's where we were, and that's where we've been since 2010. And since that time, Mr. Lagerblum and I have continued to truck down our service delivery strategy negotiations with the understanding between Fulton and Milton that we have an agreement with respect to the sewer boundary. And the reason we have to have a sewer boundary for Mr. Coons and Mr. Large is that because a county cannot provide services within a city. They can't provide unless we have an agreement to allow them to. They have to be allowed to be and come in and provide the service. So that's why we had to come up with that agreement. We did what the mediator asked. What we didn't do was we did not enter into an intergovernmental agreement. We approved 2 sewer maps that absolutely corresponded. As the months progressed, Chris and I, and perhaps some of you, were approached by an individual, Mr. White, who indicated that they had acquired some sewer taps from Mountain Park with respect to 2 parcels, 12,450 and 12,500 on Arnold Mill Road. If you look on your map, those parcels are identified in blue. And you'll see fairly clearly where they are right next to the left of the pizza-shaped red parcel. Various correspondence back and forth between us led me to believe and to conclude that at the present, based upon the maps that had been approved in 2010, there was no permission, if you will, for Fulton County to serve sewer with respect to those 2 parcels, even though Fulton County has clearly indicated they are willing and able to do it, and even though the developer has clearly purchased taps for that parcel. So I'm coming to you tonight with that sort of background to ask this of you. Number one, I believe I'm comfortable with where Milton is presently. Where Milton is presently is we've been embroiled in a process for the last couple of years that has been a tedious, difficult process of identifying and regulating the services between all the various jurisdictions and Fulton County. Part of that has been an agreed upon sewer map between Fulton County and the city of Milton that Chris and I have tried to keep a united front and preserving what we believe was the intent of the council. However, Fulton County is the provider, and Fulton County's position, if they were here, if a Fulton County representative was right next to you or right next to me, they would say, we didn't contemplate Little River, the Little River Basin, in our map. We were thinking only of Big Creek. My position back to them has been, well, the city of Milton was thinking about sewer generally, and to the extent that you wanted to sewer parcels, those should have been a part of the negotiated process. Irrespective, that's where we are. Fulton County is willing to service and provide sewer to the parcel in blue as well as to the others in red, but they're going to need your permission by way of an intergovernmental agreement or a modified map to do that. Fulton County has also indicated to Mr. Lagerblum and me that they are not concerned about sewering the remainder of the Little River Basin, not at all. And to the extent we need to craft an IGA that makes that clear, that to the extent there ever in the future is an interest in doing that, that would have to come back to the council for further permission, we can do that. But right now, what's on the table is, number one, I'd like your permission to go forward and go ahead and craft a very short intergovernmental agreement with Fulton County to, first of all, memorialize what we agreed to in May of 2010. That's number one. And secondly, I want to put in front of you the fact that we have a pending request where these developers are asking, look, we own the taps. We have Fulton County's permission. They would be happy to provide the service, but we need Milton to provide permission in that IGA to add these additional 2 parcels at 12,450 and 12,500 Arnold Mill Road. And so I'm here seeking direction from you as to putting together the IGA generally, which I heartily recommend. I do. It's time. And then secondly, your guidance with respect to those 2 additional parcels in blue. Chris?
I think that pretty much gets us to where we are tonight with the 2 questions.
Can you reiterate the timeline? I know we had discussed the sewer map in 10, right? 2010.
2010. May in 2010 is when we approved.
But then these taps were purchased prior, correct?
These maps were purchased prior to that. Yes, that is correct.
And what was the county's, when the property owner purchased it, what would the county's position have been? Or
I think the county's position, and these gentlemen are here can speak, but I believe Fulton County's position has always been to them that the county stood ready, willing, and able to provide the service. So I don't think that Fulton County's position on that has changed. It's simply that Chris and I have taken the position that the last manifestation of the intent of the council was X, and we feel like we need to honor that. They have been very reasonable and have listened to us. I don't think they necessarily disagree or agree with all of it, but that's the position that Chris and I feel like we have no choice but to advocate. But it's also fair to bring it to you and say, we need the IGA, Fulton County's prepared, the time is right. Is there an interest in going ahead and opening this issue up with respect to these two additional parcels?
Okay, but as far as these parcels, basically the property owners purchased sewer taps thinking they were doing the right thing, and
Yes.
were sold sewer taps, and as far as the county, if they communicated at all with the county led them to believe they could have sewer to it, correct?
And it is, in fact, not only will I say yes to that, but I'll also say that in some of the communications with respect to the sewer, there were copies of some of the correspondence that were copied on Milton staff. I have taken the position with Mr. White that that is not necessarily binding on the city of Milton just because a member of staff may have received an email or a communication. But I think from their perspective is, well, but at a minimum, Milton knew we were progressing forward toward this end. I think that would be their position.
I guess that was my question, because, several of these properties in the red that we had decided to, felt that had the rights to sewer previously. Before we did this, that was the reasoning, and this one probably just, they weren't aware of the meetings we were having, and we weren't aware of the fact that they had already purchased sewer taps, and for all intents and purposes, could have just been left out of the discussion, but could have been in that discussion and decision if we had known about it.
It could have been.
Does anybody have any questions for?
Mayor?
Yeah, Lance.
Other than this one red parcel I see, that's the only parcel right now within Milton that's in the Little River Basin. Every other red parcel's in the Big Creek Basin, I assume. I mean, the red seems to be on the same side of the road as the dark green, which is the Little River.
To the extent that that's on the boundary, I believe we have taken the position that that is probably in the Big Creek Basin, but it may be right there on the ridge line. It's unclear to me.
Obviously, Fulton County and the Public Works Department that operates the sewers in Fulton County are amenable to connections. The taps that were purchased, it's just each property zoned commercial right now? This
AG1.
agriculture? Okay. And the taps that were purchased, does it specify a specific flow, allowable flow, or number of units? It does. Okay.
And I believe, and again, they certainly can speak for themselves, but I believe even under the existing zoning, there would be a use that could, there would be an allowable land use that could make use of these taps. I believe that is correct, is it not? Some sort of a
Within
senior
the
facility?
AG1, yeah.
Senior housing facility.
Right, senior housing, which I'm very much for, senior housing, as I'm approaching that, that area. Okay.
Say again how many taps there are.
48.
That's what I thought.
Which are, I'm going to assume, are more taps than the property zoned for, obviously.
That would seem to
At
be
the-
a,
at the
that
current
would seem to be a
zoning.
bulky density for
Yeah,
that property,
okay.
although,
There might be some left
I
out.
haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
a site plan or even a proposal as to what would be considered.
Okay. Anybody else? No, Karen, you have anything?
What's the total acreage?
15 plus or minus.
I think it's 14 acres.
I'm sure they can answer.
It's a little over 8. What about both? Is that both of them consolidated? Both are 8 acres?
The red piece, I think, Dan Sullivan's right. And that's a little over 4, so maybe you're combining.
Got it.
Okay.
Looks like the blue would be 8 acres.
Okay.
I have just one
Yeah,
question,
Karen.
Mayor. Now, it's my understanding, because this is in the Little River Basin, that's why it was necessary to purchase the sewer taps, because the capacity is limited for that basin.
That's correct. These taps were purchased prior to the moratorium, so this
So the
capacity
moratorium is in
exists.
place, so realistically, there's not like anything to worry about sewer spreading to all of the rest of the Little River Basin, because there really is, right now, not capacity for it, even if we wanted to.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's, I'll just say, that's why we purchased the taps, is for that very reason, for the city and
Is this your intent as well, to develop this senior housing on your own, or is this, you gonna sell it? or-
That's we'd love to find somebody, we haven't been able to find anybody, but our intent is to work with the city and develop into something the city would want, and, would be good for the city as well as hopefully for us.
I know staff would need some direction. I would just state that when I look at the timeline and the events that took place, I could be real comfortable in just saying that this one slipped between the cracks and that we could have just just as easy been considering this one blue spot in with the red spots that we approved. So, I'm fine with, would be fine with going forward.
And I will
Looking
say
at this.
too that the city manager and I have met with basically our peers with Fulton County, and they were very clear they are extremely deferential to Milton and will take our lead with respect to this. And so, to the extent that we were to draft something that was very ironclad, they would be very comfortable with that.
Okay.
And I do have a question.
Sure, Matt.
So, just so I understand exactly how that all works, the sewer taps were purchased. Because of that, no one else is making those purchases. Obviously, this isn't going to set a precedent or open the doors for a lot of other people to want to buy into sewer, I assume. Is that?
I don't know exactly how many of these taps are outstanding, nor, if I would have known they were outstanding, then when we were having this discussion a couple of years ago, we would have thought to pick up the phone and call Mountain Park City Hall.
Right.
I
Yeah, we
kind
wanna
of
try
joked
it.
maybe I should call Marietta City Hall and see if they own any that they might want to sell to somebody in Milton. Or did already, and we don't know.
That's
We
what
do know
happened here.
that there was 60 acquired in this by Mountain Park. 48 of them are here. I have had a conversation with the mayor of Mountain Park. They are retaining the remaining 12. So I do know where those 12 reside.
Okay.
But I would have no reason to think there are any additional, but frankly, there was really no reason to think these existed
Okay.
Until they were brought to us.
Because I could see how someone would look at the map and see all the pipe over on the,
Oh, sure.
on the east side.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a discussion before. So,
Well, ideally, I would love to have the master plan for the Arno Mill Corridor done before we start making all these decisions, but that plan is probably a year to 2 years away, and I don't think it's fair to make them wait. They've already purchased the sewer taps, and I don't think it's going to change what our overall intent was when we approved the map.
Bill, you got any? No. Matt? Lance?
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Okay, I think you got some
Got
direction.
some-
I've got my direction.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, then we can adjourn this meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank
And we
you.
can't start the next one until 6.
Okay.
Got time for dinner.
Thank you.